Hey Skyliners, hope all you guys are well. This is a different type of video to what I normally make. So I want to just discuss this mod. It's been out a while and I've used it on and off for a while, and I just want to give you some impressions of it now that I've been using it over a few maps with varying success. So if you download this or subscribe to this, you will get this box or this icon down here in your game, and it gives you this box. So what you have to do is you have to go into openstreetmap.org. You have to put the coordinates in from your readme file, which you get when you download the terrain party maps, and it never seems to work for me, so I always end up having to manually type these in using this. There's another way of doing it. It's basically create the map manually in this website. I don't know, maybe it's just me. I always seem to have some kind of problem or another. This, as you can see, is centered on the Hollywood Burbank Airport. So this is your 81 tile size. That translates into your map, and I've maxed it out basically. So that's your 81 tile map of the sort of San Fernando Valley, with E.T.'s house over here, by the way, for those that know that movie. Shows how old I am. So here we go, Burbank Airport in that gap there, and the maximum amount of generated roads, so that's including suburban roads. And I've gone to the max because you can see here current nodes, I'm in the red, so I can't really make any of these, the rest of these, because we're at the limits, and that is the one big unfortunate thing with this game, as everyone knows. But here's really what I want to discuss. There's two major problems. One is the complete bumpiness of which it creates these roads. And I mean, I'm probably asking a bit much if I want perfect roads, perfect positions. You know, I want everything created for me. In some ways, it's like, so do you want to play this game, or do you want to, you know, what's next? The city's going to be made for me as well. I don't know. Anyway, I still think it is a great thing to be able to have these roads generated and maps generated. But the problem, of course, being blunt with it, it's a mess, and you have to recreate it all. It gives you an idea, more or less, the accuracy of the positions, which is helpful if you're making quite road-heavy maps for the workshop. But not only are they not accurate in terms of the bumpiness, you know, the gradients and the actual road connections, they're not accurate in their exact positions either. The actual roads of the interchange itself, so if you want to look at this one, is accurate. But when we go down here, I'll explain it. Here we have a gap. Let's put it slightly darker so you can see. We have a gap in the Hollywood Hills where the Hollywood Freeway, which is this, should pass through. Now, let's go to Google Earth. This is the Hollywood Freeway going through the Hollywood Hills towards LA, and it passes through this depression, this little gap or valley. It doesn't go over these hills where Universal Studios is. Now bear in mind, I added the correct coordinates, but nevertheless the freeway goes over the Universal Studios hill. Why is that? I don't know. But it does it, and it's annoying. And it brings me to the conclusion, well, it brings me to the question, is it worth using this road generation tool? It's nice to look at. I do think it possibly helps with some of the it acts as a guide, somewhat of a guide. But because you've got to redo them, I mean, you would spend about the same time tidying this up, for instance, as you would just recreating it. I mean, you're more or less recreating it. And if the position is not correct either, well, you may as well just not use the mod, to be absolutely honest. So I don't know whether this is an issue with the mod itself, or Open Street View, or the game. I don't really know, to be absolutely honest, but I'm just here to explain the problems I have with it, or the issues, some of the negatives I have with it. So that's it. I mean, if I'm creating this as a map, well, first of all, I wouldn't have all these suburban roads anyway, and this, for instance, you see, if you look down here, it's given us these 3 roads next to each other, whereas in reality, let's go back to Google, good old Google, it's this. So what have we got in real life? We've got a suburban road next to basically a road with a centre median, whatever you want to call it. So in this case, what would you use? Well, you'd use you'd just use a 4-lane highway. I don't have access to all the rest of the roads, as you know, I'm in the map editor. So in cases like that, you've really got to delete those and replace those for a different road type. So, and it gives you the 3-lane highways, and these in real life might be 5 or 6. Knowing LA, how many lanes are there on these roads? 1, 2, 3. There's 4 or 5. I think there's like a toll lane. What do you call them? Oh, I forget. It's different in different states. Anyway, so really you're talking 5 lanes there, if you're going to make it accurate. I'll give you a quick look at it at night time. There we go. Beautiful. That's amazing. If only you could build all of it and there were no game limits. If only. So if I was to build on this map and create this as a map, I would be able to just build Burbank Airport and the surrounding 25 tiles, and that would be about it. So that brings me to another point. You actually can set the amount of roads that get generated in terms of whether you want it to cover the 81 tiles or not. So not only can you decide which roads you want, but you can change the tolerances. So I would actually say, if I were you, is to knock off the cloud, the edge map fog area. So just make it a bit smaller, and that way you're not going to the limits so quickly. Well, I think this about explains it. I hope I haven't rambled on too much. I've still got a bit of a cold. It's just hanging on. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's the dreaded C virus. Hope not. Hope you guys are all well. Hope you enjoyed the map. Hope it was informative. Any questions, comments, please add them in the video down below. Cheers. See you later.